For more on Biden's departure and Harris's run, I'm joined by the former U.S. ambassador to Canada, Bruce Heyman. Ambassador, do you think the Democrats can still win while making this candidate change so close to the election?
I actually think it increases their odds significantly. I think that what you find is this is a very close race between two parties. We're a country divided, and we left the Republican convention where we saw a great deal of enthusiasm among the Republican conventioneers. Now, the question was, were we going to see that kind of enthusiasm for Democrats? And I think with Joe Biden, that I think there were people that were concerned that that wasn't going to be the case at all. And I think his handing the reins over to his vice president and giving her the endorsement, as well as watching what's happened over the last 24 hours, I am incredibly optimistic. The enthusiasm factor is through the roof right now, both in terms of fundraising, endorsements, people all gathering together because they realize the risks at hand of having Donald Trump be president again. So I think there's a good shot now. It's going to be close. It's going to be a very tight race, and we're going to have to fight for every ballot. But yes, I'm very confident.
If she can get it done, what do you think a Harris presidency would mean for relations with Canada?
Amazing. First of all, hello, everyone. As sitting ambassador, I always have the question asked while I was there during the Obama term, and then after, do they know Canada? They talk about a senator or a congressman or a president. How well do they know Canada? Do they care about Canada? Well, Vice President Harris lived in Canada, grew up much of her time in Montreal. She understands and appreciates the value of a multilateral relationship in the world, but nobody is more important to the United States. No country is more important to the United States than Canada. As our next door neighbor, our best friend, our best trading partner, our ally in the world, and she knows that really clear.
So trade has often been a sticking point for our two nations. How do you think a Harris presidency would handle trade disputes between our two countries?
Well, I think she handles disputes in a way that other people don't. She actually uses more diplomatic skills than threatening or verbosity or drama, which, Donald Trump does. I think she would be a good partner across the table. Now, don't underestimate her strength and don't underestimate her determination. But if there are disputes, we'll work them out together as friends do, as opposed to watching, remember Donald Trump threatening your auto industry, putting tariffs on steel and aluminum because he said you are a threat to U.S. national security. No, that's not what you would get from a President Harris at all.
Now, another big issue in Canada, and we've heard some American politicians talking about, is low Canadian military spending. I'm wondering, what do you think the Harris government would do to encourage Canada to spend more? Do you think she would take a hard line?
Probably. Look, this hard line was taken by presidents, Republican and Democrat alike. But I think we're in a new world now. And I think, Canada has responded and has responded with several times ratcheting up defense spending. But the reality is, and I just attended the Aspen Security Conference, listening to a lot of Europeans speak directly and the general in charge of Europe for the United States. The threat is real. The threat from Russia is not small, and it's going to require pretty expansive increases in defense spending by all of our allies. And just so you know, he used the language, 2% is the floor, not the goal. And so while I know we have been talking about we need to get to 2%, that's just to hit the minimum. And so we may need to expand further if Russia continues in its quest for land and power in Europe and expands deeper into Ukraine or further than Ukraine. We'll all have to come together.
That's former U.S. Ambassador to Canada, Bruce Heyman. Ambassador, thanks so much for joining us.
Pleasure to be with you.
Now, just this afternoon, Ambassador Heyman publicly endorsed Kamala Harris for president, adding to the flurry of endorsements for her since Biden's abrupt departure yesterday. Heyman says he believes she is best suited to beating Trump.